While my husband splurges on a weekend getaway with his mistress using our joint savings, I'm finalizing documents that will cut off his access to the business account he thinks I don't understand. As he plans their romantic retreat to Aspen, using funds from our daughter's college fund, I'm orchestrating a financial awakening that will forever change his definition of partnership. He has no idea that his financially naive wife has been the silent majority shareholder of his tech company since the day we signed the incorporation papers. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches, you make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. My hand remains steady as I sign another document, a quiet smile playing at my lips. Through the window of my attorney's downtown Seattle office, I can see the upscale restaurant where my husband Nate is currently dining with Vanessa, his mistress, of 8 months. The irony isn't lost on me. The same restaurant where he proposed to me 7 years ago, promising a lifetime of honesty and partnership. The same restaurant that just sent a payment confirmation for a $400 dinner to our joint email account. Mrs. Thompson, are you absolutely certain about the timing? Monica, my attorney, watches me with a mixture of admiration and concern. Her tortoiseshell glasses catch the afternoon light as she organizes another stack of documents. We could wait until I turn my phone toward her, showing Nate's latest Instagram post. The timestamp reads 3 minutes ago. Strategy session with the brilliant VC. Business genius making moves. The photo shows a champagne toast, his titanium wedding band visible on his finger, resting next to Vanessa's manicured hand adorned with a bracelet, my grandmother's emerald tennis bracelet that had gone missing last month. The timing, I say, signing another paper with a flourish, is perfect. My phone buzzes with a text from Nate. Working late tonight, sweetheart. Big investor meeting. Don't wait up. Love you. I've saved every message like this from the past 8 months. Each one corresponds perfectly with a credit card charge at luxury hotels, high-end restaurants, or exclusive boutiques. The ones he doesn't know I've traced. The ones that match exactly with Vanessa's increasingly lavish lifestyle documented on her Instagram. Each post featuring designer clothes, exotic vacations, and recently, pieces of jewelry that looked suspiciously familiar. What they don't know is that I've known for months. Every business dinner, every client emergency, every suspicious withdrawal from our joint accounts. I've documented it all. But unlike what most would expect, I didn't confront him. I didn't throw his designer clothes onto our manicured lawn or key his precious Tesla. Instead, I did what I do best. I followed the money. This one, Monica points to a particular document, will initiate the corporate audit once you sign. There's no going back after this. I think about this morning, how Nate kissed my cheek before leaving for work, how he promised we'd finally take that anniversary trip to Europe next month. Meanwhile, I'd already seen the Aspen cabin reservations he'd made for him and Vanessa. Next week, paid for with money from our daughter Sophie's college fund. Good, I say, my signature flowing across the paper. That's exactly what I want. My phone lights up with another notification, an Instagram story from Vanessa showing off a new pair of diamond earrings, captioned with, "When he knows exactly what you deserve." I screenshot it, noting the time and date. It matches perfectly with the withdrawal from our joint savings account yesterday, the account Nate thinks I never check. The forensic accounting team will begin their investigation Monday morning, Monica explains, organizing the papers. Given what you've already uncovered about the company finance manipulations, they'll find twice as much as we already know. I finish for her, pulling up a folder on my phone. Here's every transaction he's tried to hide through that shell company he set up 3 months ago. The one where Vanessa mysteriously became a marketing consultant, despite her only professional experience being as a part-time yoga instructor. Monica's eyes widen as she scrolls through the documents. This is incredibly thorough. I had a lot of free evenings, I say dryly. With all his investor meetings. As if on cue, my phone buzzes with a group chat notification. Our friends planning a weekend barbecue. Nate responds immediately. Sorry, everyone. Have to skip. Flying to Chicago for a conference. I have to suppress a laugh. I know about that conference too. I've seen the Aspen cabin reservation confirmation. First-class tickets for 2 charged. To our home equity line of credit. Last one, Monica says, sliding the final paper across the desk. This initiates the full corporate audit and freezes the business accounts you co-signed for. Once you sign this, I'll file first thing Monday morning. I don't hesitate. My signature flows across the paper, years of anger and betrayal channeled into each curve and line. Another notification pops up. Nate going live on Instagram from what's supposed to be his investor meeting, the restaurant's distinctive chandeliers visible in the background. Let them celebrate, I say, standing up and smoothing my dress, the one Nate bought me last month as a just because gift when his guilt was particularly heavy. By Monday morning, they'll have a very different story to share. Monica gathers the papers, her expression both impressed and slightly unnerved. In 10 years of handling corporate disputes, I've never seen anyone quite as strategic, I suggest, picking up my bag. Or maybe just tired of being underestimated. As I walk out of the office, my phone buzzes one last time. Nate sending his nightly check-in. Miss you, beautiful. Can't wait to come home to you. I smile, typing back. Sleep well, darling. Monday's going to be interesting. He'll think it's just another loving message from his unsuspecting wife. But then again, he always did underestimate me. That's about to become his most expensive mistake. Little does he know, while he's been playing his games, I've been playing a much longer one. 4 years ago, when we started his company, I was the one who secured the initial funding through my family connections. Nate was too busy with product development to attend the investor meetings. He never bothered to read the incorporation documents, the ones that made me his just a marketing girl wife, the majority shareholder of Thomson Financial Technologies. Monday morning can't come soon enough. The morning after signing those initial papers, I dress with meticulous care. Prada. Blazer, tailored skirt, and the Tiffany pendant Nate's mother gave me last Christmas. The mirror reflects exactly what Nate expects to see. His perfectly polished wife, the former marketing executive he loves to introduce as his beautiful, supportive, but financially clueless partner at business functions. If he only knew I managed venture capital investments for 3 years before we met. Good morning, darling, I call out as he stumbles into our state-of-the-art kitchen, clearly hungover from last night's investor meeting. The coffee machine hums quietly, filling our $2, $8 million Lake Washington home with the aroma of his favorite Kona blend. I made your breakfast, I say, sliding a plate across our quartz island. He kisses my cheek, reeking of expensive cologne and guilt. The same cologne I noticed on Vanessa's Instagram post from their accidental run-in at Nordstrom yesterday. You're too good to me, babe, he says, checking his phone. If only you knew, I think, watching him scroll through messages, no doubt coordinating with Vanessa about their upcoming Aspen trip. Another early meeting? I ask innocently, noticing how he angles his phone away from me. Yeah, the Wilson account is killing me. He runs a hand through his perfectly styled hair, distracted. The Wilson account that doesn't exist. I've already confirmed with Daniel, Nate's business partner, that they lost the Wilson contract months ago. Don't work too hard, I say, squeezing his shoulder. He doesn't notice me taking a photo of his phone screen in the reflection of our refrigerators. Stainless steel door, capturing Vanessa's message about their lunch plans at Canlease. After he leaves, I transform our home office into my command center. The framed photos of our wedding in Maui disappear into drawers, replaced by printouts of bank statements, company documents, and property records. My friend Olivia, a forensic Accountant I've known since our MBA days, sits cross-legged on my custom area rug, surrounded by papers. Jesus, she mutters, holding up a document. Did he really think he could hide these company withdrawals behind a fake consulting firm registered? In Wyoming? I laugh, but there's no humor in it. He registered it under his college roommate's name, the one who moved to Australia 5 years ago. Olivia shakes her head, adding the paper to our growing evidence pile. Men like him always think they're the smartest person in the room. That's because they never bother looking around, I reply, pulling up another document on my laptop. Look at this. Every time he meets Vanessa, he files it as a business development expense. 5-star hotels with a woman who's supposedly advising him on social media strategy, despite not knowing the difference between SEO and a CRM. My phone buzzes with a group text from our friend Elizabeth about her upcoming charity gala at the Seattle Art Museum. Nate responds immediately with another excuse. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Vanessa, I notice, has already RSVP'd to the same event through her yoga studio's community outreach program. They're getting careless, I observe, adding another screenshot to my collection. Have you talked to Judge Williams yet? Olivia asks, referring to our friend who oversees corporate finance disputes in King County. I nod, pulling up an encrypted email chain. She's ready. The moment we file on Monday, she'll expedite the hearing about suspicious corporate activities. The same hearing that will reveal Vanessa's consulting company has been receiving corporate funds since before she even met Nate. My phone lights up with Nate's face, his daily check-in call. I answer with practiced cheerfulness, listening to him lie about his lunch meeting while I stare at their restaurant reservation confirmation in my email. The same email account he set up for me thinking I'd only use it for online shopping. Miss you too, honey, I say, watching Olivia roll her eyes. Don't forget we have dinner with your parents tonight. He pauses, and I can practically hear him texting Vanessa to reschedule. Of course, babe. Wouldn't miss it. After hanging up, I turn to Olivia. He'll cancel in about 3 hours. Emergency client meeting. How can you be so sure? I pull up Vanessa's Instagram story from this morning, a cryptic post about a special surprise at the new rooftop bar at the Four Seasons, because I know their routine better than they do. The rest of the day unfolds like a carefully choreographed ballet. I attend my regular charity board meeting, make an appearance at my usual salon, even grab coffee at the cafe where Nate's sister works. Everything normal, everything routine. No one would suspect that in my designer laptop bag I'm carrying documents that will dismantle years of Nate's careful deceptions. Right on schedule at 4:43 p.m., Nate texts, "Baby, I'm so sorry. Might have to rain check dinner with my parents. Emergency client situation with the Tucker account." I respond with just the right amount of disappointment and understanding, watching through my phone's banking alerts as he makes a dinner reservation at the Four Seasons, his and Vanessa's favorite spot for their strategy sessions. The Tucker account hasn't been active for months. I would know. I'm the one who actually reads the quarterly reports. Look what just came in, Olivia says, holding up her phone. Vanessa's posted a photo of champagne at sunset, the Four Seasons' distinctive skyline view unmistakable in the background. Perfect, I say, adding the screenshot to our collection. That receipt will match beautifully with the business dinner he's about to charge to the corporate card. As evening falls, I sit in our meticulously decorated living room, surrounded by evidence of Nate's double life and my own careful documentation. Every lie, every secret meeting, every hidden withdrawal, all of it meticulously cataloged and cross-referenced. My phone buzzes with another Instagram notification. Vanessa wearing new diamond earrings that cost more than her supposed monthly consulting fee, captioned with a single heart emoji. I save it to the folder marked Monday and pour myself a bye. glass of the 25-year Macallan from the collection Nate thinks only he has access to in our home bar. Let them have their romantic evening, I murmur, scanning through the latest company report Olivia sent over. Let them think they're the clever ones, playing their little game of hide-and-seek with the naive wife. I've spent months building this facade of ignorance, and in less than 48 hours, I'll have the pleasure of watching it shatter along with everything else they thought they could take from me. The forensic team finished their preliminary review, Olivia calls from the kitchen, her voice tight with disbelief. You're not going to believe what they found in the offshore accounts. I join her, my heels clicking against our hardwood floors. On her laptop screen, a complex web of transactions unfolds, a masterpiece of financial deceit that would be almost impressive if it wasn't so pathetically predictable. He's been transferring company funds through 3 different shell entities, Olivia explains, highlighting various transactions, then funneling it through Vanessa's fake consulting firm and into a hidden account in the Caymans. I lean closer, a cold smile playing at my lips. Show me the dates of the first transfers. Olivia pulls up a timeline, and my smile widens. Just as I thought. He started moving money the day after our daughter's college fund was established. He never even bothered to check who was the primary administrator on the account. My phone chimes with a message from Eleanor, Nate's mother. Darling, are you and Nathan still coming for brunch on Sunday? I've had Maria prepare his favorite quiche. Poor Eleanor, still believing her son is the same responsible young man who followed his entrepreneurial dreams with integrity and honesty. What about the company bylaws? Olivia asks, pulling up another document. Article 8, Section 4. I quote from memory. Any officer or director found to be engaging in actions that endanger or diminish the company's financial health can be immediately suspended from operations pending full investigation. Olivia's eyes gleam. And with Vanessa's social media, trail, every post, every photo, every location check-in. All matching perfectly with corporate withdrawals and consulting payments, I confirm, pulling up a carefully curated folder on my laptop. They've documented their own misconduct better than we ever could. My phone lights up with another check-in from Nate. Just wrapped the emergency meeting, baby. Might be a late one, so much paperwork to review. I text back, don't work too hard, darling. Make sure you eat something. Through the window, I can see the lights of downtown Seattle, knowing they're up there right now, celebrating what they think is their perfect deception. Nate probably congratulating himself on how skillfully he's managed to hide his withdrawals from the company accounts. Monica just confirmed, Olivia says, checking her phone. Judge Williams has cleared her Monday morning calendar. The moment we file, she'll expedite the hearing. I nod, walking to our floor-to-ceiling windows. The Seattle skyline sparkles back at me, a constellation of lights that seems to mirror the intricate web of evidence we've woven. Becca, Olivia's voice turns serious. Are you absolutely sure about the timing? We could wait until after his big investor presentation next week. His entire professional network will be there. I turn back to her, thinking of the presentation I'd helped Nate prepare, the one where he plans to announce his company's expansion and his new role as CEO of the parent corporation, the same event where Vanessa has somehow secured an invitation as a digital marketing consultant. The timing, I say, picking up another stack of documents, is exactly right. Let him stand in front of his entire professional network, ready to make his big announcement. Olivia raises an eyebrow. Right before the corporate auditors serve him with the suspension papers? Poetic, isn't it? My phone buzzes again, a text from Vanessa to our neighborhood social committee group. So sorry to miss tomorrow's park cleanup, everyone. Last-minute client emergency. The same cleanup where we're supposed to discuss the annual block party that Nate and I traditionally host. I add the screenshot to our evidence file, then pull up the company's latest financial statement. The numbers that Nate thinks only he understands glow on my screen. If he'd ever bothered to really look, he'd have noticed that every major transaction, every fund transfer, Every significant financial decision has required dual authentication for the past 4 years. One code from him, one from the majority shareholder, me. I've watched every dollar he's tried to hide, every account he's attempted to obscure, every lie he's built his house of cards upon, all while playing the role he assigned me. The beautiful, naive wife who couldn't possibly understand the complexities of business finance. Daniel just confirmed. Olivia checks another message. Board meeting scheduled for 9 a.m. Monday. Nate is supposed to present the new investment strategy. I smile, remembering the fabricated projections he's been working on, the fake growth numbers he's created to hide his mismanagement of company funds. Perfect. That gives Judge Williams's team plenty of time to arrive by 9:30. My phone lights up one final time for the night. Nate sending a photo of paperwork scattered across what he claims is his office desk, actually the Four Seasons. Distinctive side table visible in the corner. Still grinding, baby, don't wait up. I text back a single heart emoji, then turn to Olivia. Shall we finish preparing his wake-up call? The morning after signing those initial papers, I dress with meticulous care. Prada blazer, tailored skirt, and the Tiffany pendant Nate's mother gave me last Christmas. The mirror reflects exactly what Nate expects to see. His perfectly polished wife, the former marketing executive he loves to introduce as his beautiful, supportive, but financially clueless partner at business. Functions. If he only knew I managed venture capital investments for 3 years before we met. Good morning, darling, I call out as he stumbles into our state-of-the-art kitchen, clearly hungover from last night's investor meeting. The coffee machine hums quietly, filling our $2. $8 million Lake Washington home with the aroma of his favorite Kona blend. I made your breakfast, I say, sliding a plate across our quartz island. He kisses my cheek, reeking of expensive cologne and guilt, the same cologne I noticed on Vanessa's Instagram post from their accidental run-in at Nordstrom yesterday. You're too good to me, babe, he says, checking his phone. If only you knew, I think, watching him scroll through messages, no doubt coordinating with Vanessa about their upcoming Aspen trip. Another early meeting? I ask innocently, noticing how he angles his phone away from me. Yeah, the Wilson account is killing me. He runs a hand through his perfectly styled hair, distracted. The Wilson account that doesn't exist. I've already confirmed with Daniel, Nate's business partner, that they lost the Wilson contract months ago. Don't work too hard, I say, squeezing his shoulder. He doesn't notice me taking a photo of his phone screen in the reflection of our refrigerators. Stainless steel door, capturing Vanessa's message about their lunch plans at Canlis. After he leaves, I transform our home office into my command center. The framed photos of our wedding in Maui disappear into drawers, replaced by printouts of bank statements, company documents, and property records. My friend Olivia, a forensic accountant I've known since our MBA days, sits cross-legged on my custom area rug, surrounded by papers. Jesus, she mutters, holding up a document. Did he really think he could hide these company withdrawals behind a fake consulting firm registered in Wyoming? I laugh, but there's no humor in it. He registered it under his college roommate's name, the one who moved to Australia 5 years ago. Olivia shakes her head, adding the paper to our growing evidence pile. Men like him always think they're the smartest person in the room. That's because they never bother looking around, I reply, pulling up another document on my laptop. Look at this. Every time he meets Vanessa, he files it as a business development expense. The 5-star hotels with a woman who's supposedly advising him on social media strategy, despite not knowing the difference between SEO and a CRM. My phone buzzes with a group text from our friend Elizabeth about her upcoming charity gala at the Seattle Art Museum. Nate responds immediately with another excuse. Vanessa, I notice, has already RSVP'd to the same event through her yoga studio's community outreach program. They're getting careless, I observe, adding another screenshot to my collection. Have you talked to Judge Williams yet? Olivia asks, referring to our friend who oversees corporate finance disputes in King County. I nod, pulling up an encrypted email chain. She's ready. The moment we file on Monday, she'll expedite the hearing about suspicious corporate activities. The same hearing that will reveal Vanessa's consulting company has been receiving corporate funds since before she even met Nate. My phone lights up with Nate's face, his daily check-in call. I answer with practiced cheerfulness, listening to him lie about his lunch meeting while I stare at their restaurant reservation confirmation in my email. The same email account he set up for me, thinking I'd only use it for online shopping. Miss you too, honey, I say, watching Olivia roll her eyes. Don't forget we have dinner with your parents tonight. He pauses, and I can practically hear him texting Vanessa to reschedule. Of course, babe. Wouldn't miss it. After hanging up, I turn to Olivia. He'll cancel in about 3 hours. Emergency client meeting. How can you be so sure? I pull up Vanessa's Instagram story from this morning. A cryptic post about a special surprise at the new rooftop bar at the Four Seasons. Because I know their routine better than they do. The rest of the day unfolds like a carefully choreographed ballet. I attend my regular charity board meeting, make an appearance at my usual salon, even grab coffee at the cafe where Nate's sister works. Everything normal, everything routine. No one would suspect that in my designer laptop bag I'm carrying documents that will dismantle years of Nate's careful deceptions. Right on schedule at 4:43 p.m., Nate texts, "Baby, I'm so sorry. Might have to rain check dinner with my parents. Emergency client situation with the Tucker account." I respond with just the right amount of disappointment and understanding, watching through my phone's banking alerts as he makes a dinner reservation at the Four Seasons, his and Vanessa's favorite spot for their strategy sessions. The Tucker account hasn't been active for months. I would know. I'm the one who actually reads the quarterly reports. Look what just came in, Olivia says, holding up her phone. Vanessa's posted a photo of champagne at sunset. The Four Seasons' distinctive skyline view unmistakable in the background. Perfect, I say, adding the screenshot to our collection. That receipt will match beautifully with the business dinner he's about to charge to the corporate card. As evening falls, I sit in our meticulously decorated living room, surrounded by evidence of Nate's double life and my own careful documentation. Every lie, every secret meeting, every hidden withdrawal, all of it meticulously cataloged and cross-referenced. My phone buzzes with another Instagram notification. Vanessa wearing new diamond earrings that cost more than her supposed monthly consulting fee, captioned with a single heart emoji. I save it to the folder marked Monday and pour myself a glass of the 25-year Macallan from the collection Nate thinks only he has access to in our home bar. Let them have their romantic evening, I murmur, scanning through the latest company report Olivia sent over. Let them think they're the clever ones, playing their little game of hide-and-seek with the naive wife. I've spent months building this facade of ignorance, and in less than 48 hours, I'll have the pleasure of watching it shatter along with everything else they thought they could take from me. The forensic team finished their preliminary review. Olivia calls from the kitchen, her voice tight with disbelief. You're not going to believe what they found in the offshore accounts. I join her, my heels clicking against our hardwood floors. On her laptop screen, a complex web of transactions unfolds. A masterpiece of financial deceit that would be almost impressive if it wasn't so pathetically predictable. He's been transferring company funds through 3 different shell entities, Olivia explains, highlighting various transactions, then funneling it through Vanessa's fake consulting firm and into a hidden account in the Caymans. I lean closer, a cold smile playing at my lips. Show me the dates of the first transfers. Olivia pulls up a timeline, and my smile widens. Just as I thought, he started moving money the day after our daughter's college fund was established. He never even bothered to check who was the primary administrator on the account. My phone chimes with a message from Eleanor, Nate's mother. "Darling, are you and Nathan still coming for brunch on Sunday? I've had Maria prepare his favorite quiche." Poor Eleanor, still believing her son is the same responsible young man who followed his entrepreneurial dreams with integrity and honesty. "What about the company bylaws?" Olivia asks, pulling up another document. Article 8, Section 4, I quote from memory. "Any officer or director found to be engaging in actions that endanger or diminish the company's financial health can be immediately suspended from operations pending full investigation." Olivia's eyes gleam. "And with Vanessa's social media? Trail. Every post, every photo, every location check-in. All matching perfectly with corporate withdrawals and consulting payments," I confirm, pulling up a carefully curated folder on my laptop. They've documented their own misconduct better than we ever could. My phone lights up with another check-in from Nate. "Just wrapped the emergency meeting, baby. Might be a late one. So much paperwork to review." I text back, "Don't work too hard, darling. Make sure you eat something." Through the window, I can see the lights of downtown Seattle, knowing they're up there right now, celebrating what they think is their perfect deception. Nate probably congratulating himself on how skillfully he's managed to hide his withdrawals from the company accounts. "Monica just confirmed," Olivia says, checking her phone. "Judge Williams has cleared her Monday morning calendar. The moment we file, she'll expedite the hearing." I nod, walking to our floor-to-ceiling windows. The Seattle skyline sparkles back at me, a constellation of lights that seems to mirror the intricate web of evidence we've woven. "Becca," Olivia's voice turns serious, "are you absolutely sure about the timing? We could wait until after his big investor presentation next week. His entire professional network will be there." I turn back to her, thinking of the presentation I'd helped Nate prepare, the one where he plans to announce his company's expansion and his new role as CEO of the parent corporation. The same event where Vanessa has somehow secured an invitation as a digital marketing consultant. "The timing," I say, picking up another stack of documents, "is exactly right. Let him stand in front of his entire professional network, ready to make his big announcement." Olivia raises an eyebrow. "Right before the corporate auditors serve him with the suspension papers? Poetic, isn't it?" My phone buzzes again, a text from Vanessa to our neighborhood social committee group. "So sorry to miss tomorrow's park. Clean up, everyone. Last-minute client emergency." The same cleanup where we're supposed to discuss the annual block party that Nate and I traditionally host. I add the screenshot to our evidence file, then pull up the company's latest financial statement. The numbers that Nate thinks only he understands glow on my screen. If he'd ever bothered to really look, he'd have noticed that every major transaction, every fund transfer, every significant financial decision has required dual authentication for the past 4 years. One code from him, one from the majority shareholder, me. I've watched every dollar he's tried to hide, every account he's attempted to obscure, every lie he's built his house of cards upon, all while playing the role he assigned me, the beautiful, naive wife who couldn't possibly understand the complexities of business finance. "Daniel just confirmed," Olivia checks another message. "Board meeting scheduled for 9 a.m. Monday. Nate is supposed to present the new investment strategy." I smile, remembering the fabricated projections he's been working on, the fake growth numbers he's created to hide his mismanagement of company funds. Perfect. That gives Judge Williams's team plenty of time to arrive by 9:30. My phone lights up one final time for the night, Nate sending a photo of paperwork scattered across what he claims is his office desk, actually the Four Seasons. Distinctive side table visible in the corner. "Still grinding, baby, don't wait up." I text back a single heart emoji, then turn to Olivia. "Shall we finish preparing his wake-up call?" For the next few hours, we meticulously review every document, every piece of evidence, every single detail of what's about to unfold. By the time Olivia leaves, the sun is starting to rise over Lake Washington, painting our living room in shades of gold that match the embossed letterhead of Thomson Financial Technologies. I hear Nate's key in the door around 6 a.m. He tries to be quiet, but his designer shoes still click against our marble floors. I'm already in the kitchen, perfectly dressed, makeup flawless, starting the espresso machine. "You're up early," he says, trying to hide his surprise and the faint trace of Vanessa's signature Joe Malone perfume on his collar. "Thought you could use some breakfast after your late night," I smile, sliding him a cup of coffee. "Must have been some important client work." "You know how it is," he waves vaguely, not meeting my eyes. "Sometimes these projects can't wait." "Oh, darling," I think, watching him check his phone under the table, no doubt messaging Vanessa about their close call. "You have no idea how right you are. Just a few more hours until Monday morning, when they learn exactly what happens when you mistake silence for ignorance and underestimate the woman you thought you'd fooled." Sunday passes in a blur of practiced normalcy. I attend church with Eleanor, help Sophie with her science project, and prepare a roast for dinner. All while my phone periodically buzzes with updates from Monica and Olivia about tomorrow's carefully orchestrated takedown. "Your favorite," I say, placing Nate's preferred whiskey next to him after dinner as he works on his presentation for tomorrow. The same presentation that will never reach its conclusion. "You're the best," he says absently, not looking up from his laptop. I study him for a moment. This man I once adored, now a stranger constructing elaborate deceptions. Does he ever feel guilt when he looks at me? At Sophie? Or has he compartmentalized his betrayal so completely that he believes his own lies? "Need any help with the presentation?" I offer innocently, knowing every falsified projection and manipulated number it contains. "Nah, I've got it covered," he says, finally glancing up with a practiced smile. "Just some boring financial stuff you wouldn't find interesting." Wouldn't I think, remembering my years analyzing investment portfolios and vetting startups. The same expertise that helped launch his company, the company he now uses to fund his affair. "Well, don't stay up too late." I kiss his forehead. "Tomorrow's your big day." He has no idea how true that statement is. Monday morning dawns crisp and clear, the kind of Seattle spring day that promises new beginnings. How appropriate. I wake up at precisely 5:30 a.m., though I've barely slept. Nate's side of the bed is empty. He'd gotten up early, eager to prepare for his big presentation to the board. If he only knew what else was being prepared for him. I dress with surgical precision, a charcoal Armani suit, Louboutin heels, and the diamond studs Nate gave me on our 5th anniversary, a symbol of success he's about to lose. Every detail matters today. Every piece tells a story. "Morning, beautiful." Nate's voice is unusually cheerful when he calls at 7:30 a.m. "Just checking you're coming to the board meeting, right? Thought you might want to see your husband's big moment." "Wouldn't miss it for the world, darling," I reply, watching Monica send confirmation that Judge Williams has arrived at her chambers. "Someone should be there to witness everything you deserve." He chuckles, missing my tone completely. "That's my girl. See you at 9. I end the call and pull up the security feed from Thomson Financial's offices. Amazing what being a majority shareholder grants you access to. Nate is already there, practicing his presentation in the boardroom mirror, adjusting his power tie with nervous fingers. On another screen, I watch Vanessa enter her favorite coffee shop, no doubt planning to celebrate with Nate after his triumph. "Everything's in position," Monica texts. She's already at the courthouse with the corporate auditors, waiting for the perfect moment. Judge Williams is reviewing the final documents now. I check my watch. 8:15 a.m., time to set the wheels. In motion. My first stop is Thomson Financial's private bank, where I've been a familiar face since helping secure their initial funding 4 years ago. Nate never bothered to attend these meetings. Boring paperwork, he'd called it. His loss. Mrs. Thompson. Gregory, the private banking director, greets me warmly. Everything is prepared as requested. I smile, taking a seat in his plush office. And the timing? He slides a document across his mahogany desk. The moment you give the signal, every account Nathan has access to will be flagged for review. The corporate auditors are standing by. Perfect. I sign where indicated. My Mont Blanc pen, another of Nate's guilt gifts, flowing smoothly across the paper. And his private accounts? The ones he thought were hidden? Gregory allows himself a small smile. Already under surveillance. The moment the corporate suspension hits, those freeze too. My phone buzzes with a message from Eleanor. Darling, I'm so proud of Nathan today and so grateful to have you as part of our family. You've been such a blessing. If she only knew how much of a blessing I was about to be, saving her family's reputation from her own son's greed. At 8:45 a.m., I enter Thompson Financial's gleaming office tower, nodding to security guards, who know me as the founder's wife, not realizing I'm actually their boss. The elevator rides smoothly to the 40th floor, where Thompson Financial has been steadily growing for 4 years. Nate is waiting by the boardroom, practically bouncing with nervous energy. You made it. He kisses my cheek, and I catch a whiff of Vanessa's perfume still lingering on his collar. I've got such a good feeling about today. Oh, darling, I murmur, straightening his tie. You have no idea how memorable today is going to be. The boardroom fills quickly with board members and executives. Daniel, Nate's business partner, takes his place near the head of the table, looking every bit the seasoned entrepreneur in his bespoke suit. If only his partner had inherited his integrity, along with his business acumen. Before we begin, Daniel announces, I want to thank everyone for being here for this momentous occasion. As you know, we're here to discuss the future of Thompson Financial Technologies, and my partner Nathan has prepared a comprehensive presentation on our new investment, strategy, and expansion plans. Nate stands, straightening his papers with practiced confidence. His PowerPoint presentation glows on the screen behind him, slides full of fake projections and manipulated numbers that took him weeks to fabricate. Good morning, everyone. He begins, flashing his winning smile. Today marks a new chapter in the Thompson Financial story. 8:59 a.m. My phone vibrates silently in my lap. Monica's message is simple. Ready. 9 a.m. Nate clicks to his first slide, pointing out fabricated growth projections with practiced charm. As you can see, our company's performance under my guidance has been exceptional. 9:01 a.m. I send a single text. Now. The effect is immediate but subtle at first. Nate's phone buzzes in his pocket, probably a notification from his banking app. He ignores it, continuing his presentation. It buzzes again, and again, and again. 9:03 a.m. The boardroom door opens silently. Judge Williams's bailiff enters, nodding to me imperceptibly. Behind him, 2 federal auditors take their places by the door. And if you'll look at these returns, Nate continues, though his phone is now buzzing constantly. He's starting to look distracted, shifting uncomfortably. You'll see that our innovative approach to... His voice trails off as he notices Daniel checking his own phone, frowning deeply. Other board members are doing the same, their expressions shifting from polite attention to confused concern. 9:05 a.m. The bailiff steps forward, official documents in hand. Mr. Nathan Thompson? Nate turns, annoyed at the interruption of his big moment. I'm in the middle of something here. You are hereby served with an emergency injunction regarding Thompson Financial Technologies, the bailiff announces clearly, his voice carrying to every corner of the suddenly silent boardroom. By order of Judge Williams, you are suspended. From all access to corporate accounts and assets pending investigation into serious allegations of misappropriation and fraud. The color drains from Nate's face as he takes the papers with trembling hands. His phone is still buzzing. Probably. Notifications of his accounts being frozen one by one. There must be some mistake, he stammers, looking around the room desperately. His eyes land on me, seeking support, reassurance, the naive trust he's come to expect. Instead, he finds me calmly opening my laptop, pulling up the folders marked Evidence. No mistake, darling, I say softly, turning the screen so the entire board can see. Would you like to explain these transactions to your colleagues yourself, or shall I? The first image appears on the boardroom's main screen, replacing his fabricated presentation. A detailed spreadsheet of every dollar he's stolen, every lie he's told, every trust he's broken. Behind him, Daniel stands slowly, his face a mask of shock and growing fury. Nathan, his partner's voice is deadly quiet. What is this? Before he can answer, his phone buzzes one final time. He looks at it reflexively, and I know exactly what he's seeing. A notification that his access to all Thompson financial accounts has been suspended. Perhaps, I suggest, standing smoothly, we should discuss the real state of the company, starting with these unusual payments to a certain consulting firm. Nate slumps into his chair as I take control of the presentation remote. Behind him, the federal auditors begin setting up their equipment. Through the boardroom's glass walls, I can see Monica and Olivia arriving with boxes of additional evidence. The day of reckoning has only just begun. Let's start with this particular transaction, I say, clicking to the next slide. The boardroom. Screen fills with a detailed breakdown of a $150,000 transfer from the company to Vanessa's consulting firm, made on February 15th, exactly one day after her company was registered. Interesting timing, wouldn't you say? Nate's hands grip the armrests of his chair, knuckles white. Behind him, Daniel has switched from shock to cold fury, his jaw clenched as he watches his partner's deceptions laid bare. Of course, I continue, clicking through to the next slide. That was just the beginning. Shall we discuss the offshore accounts registered under your college roommate's name? Or perhaps the series of business development charges at the Four Seasons that coincidentally match perfectly with these Instagram posts? The screen fills with a carefully curated collection of Vanessa's social media posts side by side with company expenditures, times and dates perfectly aligned. Each champagne toast, each surprise gift, each luxury weekend mathematically matched with a suspicious withdrawal. This is ridiculous, Nate finally manages, his voice cracking. These are legitimate business expenses. Dan, I can explain. Explain what, exactly? I interrupt smoothly, pulling up another document. How you started embezzling from the company the day after we established our daughter's college fund. Or should we discuss how you've been using company funds to finance your affair while planning to divorce me? A gasp ripples through the boardroom. Eleanor presses a hand to her chest, her face pale beneath her perfect makeup. Divorce? She whispers. Nathan, what is she talking about? Oh, you didn't know? I turn to my mother-in-law with practiced sympathy. Nathan and his marketing consultant have quite the future planned, booked with Thompson Financial money, of course. Would you like to see the Aspen reservations, the jewelry receipts, or perhaps the draft divorce papers his lawyer drew up? Last week? Nate lunges for his phone, probably to warn Vanessa, but it's already too late. Through the boardroom's glass walls, we can see her being escorted into the building by corporate security, her designer handbag clutched to her chest like a shield. Perfect timing, I murmur, checking my watch. The FBI does run quite punctually. The FBI? Nate's voice rises an octave. What are you... Did you really think, I cut in, my voice carrying clearly across the stunned boardroom, that you could embezzle hundreds of thousands from a publicly traded company without consequences? That no one would notice your creative... accounting? Your father made me a trustee for a reason, darling. And unlike you, I actually read the financial reports. The federal auditors have set up their equipment now, efficiently downloading data from the company's servers. Monica stands at the ready with another stack of documents, the complete forensic accounting of every dollar Nate has stolen. "Mrs. Thompson," one of the auditors calls out, "we've confirmed the initial findings. The pattern of misappropriation is consistent with your report." Nate's head snaps up. "Your report? Who do you think has been documenting your theft all these months?" I ask quietly. "Who do you think has been tracking every lie, every secret meeting, every hidden transaction? The wife you thought was too naive to understand finance? The trophy you believed would never question your business? Meetings? I can fix this." Nate stands abruptly, desperation creeping into his voice. "Dan, just let me explain. We can handle this internally." "Sit down." Daniel's voice could freeze hell itself. "You've done quite enough." "Actually," I interject, pulling up another document, "we're just getting started. Would anyone like to see the company's true performance reports? The ones Nathan has been hiding while presenting his creative fiction?" The next hour unfolds like a perfectly choreographed dance. With each new revelation, each piece of evidence, each damning document, Nate shrinks further into his chair. His carefully constructed world of lies crumbles slide by slide, dollar by dollar. "The Cayman Islands accounts have been frozen," Monica announces from the doorway. "And Judge Williams has approved the emergency audit of all personal assets." Nate's head snaps up. "Personal assets? You can't—" "Article 8, Section 4 of the company bylaws," I quote smoothly. "Any officer or director found to be engaging in actions that endanger or diminish the company's financial health can be immediately suspended from access to all related assets pending full investigation." Daniel insisted I memorize every clause when we founded the company. Shame you never bothered to read them yourself. A commotion outside draws everyone's attention. Vanessa is being led to a separate conference room, her face a mask of panic as she realizes the serious nature of her situation. Through the glass, I watch her reach for her phone, probably to call the lawyer she thinks can save her. "Don't bother," I call out, loud enough for her to hear through the glass. "Your lawyer dropped you 20 minutes ago. Apparently, he has some concerns about being associated with corporate fraud." Nate stands again, this time moving toward the door, but the federal agents shift smoothly to block his path. "This is insane," he sputters. "You can't just—" "Can't what?" I ask, my voice deadly quiet. "Protect the company from your greed? Prevent you from stealing more of our investors' money? Or perhaps you're upset that I won't let you drain our daughter's college fund to finance your new life with Vanessa?" I click to the next slide, and Nate actually flinches. It's a photo from last week. Him and Vanessa at Tiffany's, shopping for engagement rings. The company credit card receipt for the purchase still pending in the system. "Engagement rings?" Eleanor's voice is barely a whisper. "While you're still married to Rebecca?" "Speaking of marriage," I continue, pulling up another document. "Nathan, darling, why don't you explain to everyone why you've been meeting with divorce attorneys? Or should I share the prenup dissolution papers you had drafted?" The boardroom is deadly silent now, every eye fixed on Nate as he realizes just how completely his plans have imploded. His partner stands slowly, every inch the powerful entrepreneur whose trust Nate has betrayed. "Get him out of my sight," Daniel orders, his voice trembling with rage. "And call the company lawyers, all of them." As security begins to escort Nate from the boardroom, his phone buzzes one final time. I know exactly what notification he's receiving. His access to Thompson Financial has been revoked, his keycard deactivated, his credentials suspended. "One more thing," I call out just as he reaches the door. "You might want to pack a bag when you get home. The lake house belongs to the company, and as of 9 minutes ago, you're no longer a permitted resident." Nate turns, his face a mask of disbelief. "Where am I supposed to go?" I smile. remembering all the nights I lay awake while he was with Vanessa, planning this very moment. Perhaps you could stay at the Four Seasons. Oh, wait, your credit cards have all been frozen. I glance meaningfully at the federal agents leading Vanessa to questioning. Well, I'm sure Vanessa would offer her sofa, but she might be a bit preoccupied. As Nate is led away, Eleanor approaches me, tears in her eyes. Rebecca, I'm so sorry. We had no idea he was… It's not your fault. I squeeze her hand gently. You raised a good son. He just made very, very bad choices. Monica appears at my side with another update. Judge Williams wants to see you, and the forensic accountants have found 3 more offshore accounts. I nod, gathering my things as the federal agents continue their work. Through the glass walls, I can see Nate being escorted to the lobby, his world collapsing around him. His phone is probably exploding with notifications, frozen accounts, canceled cards, suspended memberships, revoked access. Mrs. Thompson, one of the federal agents, approaches. We'll need a statement about the corporate discrepancies. Of course, I reply, smoothing my skirt as I stand. I believe I have everything you need right here. I pat my briefcase, filled with months of careful documentation, weeks of meticulous planning, and years of quiet observation. Nate thought he was so clever, playing his games with the company while his trophy wife smiled quietly at his side. He never realized that sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one you should fear the most. The next few hours unfold like a perfectly orchestrated symphony of consequences. From my temporary office in Thompson Financial's executive suite, Nate's former office, ironically, I watch the dominoes continue to fall through multiple screens and live feeds. His attempt to access the Cayman accounts was just denied, Olivia reports, monitoring the financial alerts. He tried using his backup passwords, the ones he thought nobody knew about. I smile, remembering how easy it was to find those passwords, scribbled in his private notebook, the one he kept in his secret desk drawer behind our daughter's school photos. How many attempts? 5 so far, each one triggering another alert to the financial authorities. My phone buzzes with a notification from our home security system. Nate has arrived at the lake house, probably hoping to grab some essentials before the locks are changed. Through the camera feed, I watch him frantically shoving designer suits into his luggage, the same suits I helped him select, each one paid for with company money he'll soon have to account for. Should we tell him about the asset freeze? Monica asks, watching the feed over my shoulder. Let him figure it out, I reply, turning my attention to another screen showing the federal investigators interviewing Vanessa. Her confident facade has crumbled completely now, mascara streaking down her face as she realizes the full implications of her role in Nate's scheme. Mrs. Thompson, Monica enters with a fresh stack of documents. The company's private bank just called. They've completed the initial audit of Nathan's personal accounts. I raise an eyebrow. And? He's been skimming from more than just the company. They found irregular transfers from Sophie's education fund, your joint retirement account, even his parents' trust that he manages. Eleanor, who's been sitting quietly in the corner trying to process the morning's events, lets out a small sob. Sophie's education fund? His own daughter? I moved to comfort my mother-in-law, the woman who welcomed me into her family with open arms 7 years ago. We've already reversed the transfers, Eleanor. Sophie's future is secure. My phone lights up with another notification, Nate trying to check into the Fairmont using his platinum card. I can almost see the color drain from his face as the card is declined. Through various feeds and alerts, I track his increasingly desperate attempts. The W Hotel, declined. The Hyatt, declined. The Westin, declined. His lawyer just dropped him, Monica announces, checking her messages. Apparently, he tried to pay the retainer with one of the frozen accounts. The firm has concerns about being paid with potentially fraudulent funds. A commotion in the hallway draws our attention. Through the glass walls, we see Vanessa being Escorted out by federal agents, her designer handbag now filled with copies of her sworn statement. The look she shoots toward Nate's former office could freeze hell itself. She gave them everything, Monica confirms, reviewing the preliminary report. Every meeting, every transaction, every promise he made. Turns out self-preservation trumps loyalty when federal charges are on the table. My phone buzzes again, a group text from our social circle about the upcoming charity gala at the Seattle Art Museum. Nate's name disappears from the guest list in real time, his social world crumbling as quickly as his financial one. The corporate audit team just found something interesting, Olivia calls out, her eyes wide as she reads from her tablet. Remember those emergency business trips to Vancouver? I turn to her, intrigued. The ones where he claimed to be meeting with Canadian investors? He was actually viewing properties, high-end condos in British Columbia, all conveniently outside U.S. jurisdiction. They found incomplete purchase agreements on his company laptop. Eleanor's head snaps up. He was planning to run with your money? With all of our money, I confirm gently. But don't worry, he won't get the chance now. As if on cue, my phone shows another alert. Nate's passport has been flagged. No international travel without court approval. His world is shrinking by the minute, his options disappearing one by one. The company's crisis management team is ready, Monica informs us. They've prepared statements for the press, the financial community, and the investors. I nod, pulling up the draft announcements on my laptop. The careful wording presents Thompson Financial as victims of Nate's deception, while emphasizing the swift action taken to protect the company's assets. No mention of my role, exactly as I planned. Rebecca, Eleanor speaks up, her voice stronger now. The annual company picnic is next month. With Nathan's situation, perhaps you should take over as host? Before I can respond, my phone buzzes with an urgent message from the Lake House security team. Nate is trying to access his home office safe, the one he thinks contains emergency cash and backup credit cards. Don't worry, I assure Eleanor, watching Nate's frustrated attempts through the security feed. I already emptied that safe last week. Everything of value is secure in the company vault. Olivia's tablet pings with another update. The forensic team just found his deleted emails. You're not going to believe what he was planning for after the divorce. I turn to the large screen on the wall, now displaying a complex web of Nate's intended post-divorce financial manipulations. Even I'm impressed by the audacity, if not the intelligence, of his schemes. He was going to claim the company violated securities laws, Olivia explains, highlighting various documents. Threatened to report irregularities to the SEC unless the board paid him a massive settlement. Eleanor gasps. He would blackmail his own company? His own partner? He would try, I correct her, pulling up another document. But that would have been difficult considering I've had securities lawyers reviewing and certifying every corporate transaction for the past 2 years. My phone lights up with another notification. Nate's attempt to access his cryptocurrency accounts. Sorry, darling. I think to the screen. Those wallets were transferred to the company's secure digital vault last week, along with everything else you thought you'd hidden so cleverly. Through the office windows, I can see the sun setting over Seattle, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold. In the reflection, I catch glimpses of federal agents still combing through files, forensic accountants tracking down every missing dollar, and company lawyers protecting the business Nate tried to drain for his personal gain. Mrs. Thompson, a senior federal investigator, approaches. We found evidence of potentially criminal transactions dating back 2 years. We'll need your statement about when you first noticed irregularities. I retrieve a carefully prepared timeline from my briefcase. I believe you'll find everything documented here. Every transaction, every unauthorized transfer, every attempt to circumvent corporate protocols. As the investigators continue their work, I receive one final notification. For the day, Nate checking into a budget motel near the airport, paid for with borrowed cash since his accounts remain frozen. Should we tell him about tomorrow? Monica asks, referring to the emergency board meeting where Nate will be formally removed from all Thompson financial operations. I shake my head, watching his location dot on my phone's map, so far from the privileged world he's always known. Let him sleep tonight thinking he can still fix this. Tomorrow's revelations deserve a fresh audience. Eleanor stands, gathering her composure along with her Burberry bag. Rebecca, we can never thank you enough for protecting the company, for stopping him before he destroyed everything you and Harold helped build, I finished gently. Eleanor, when you welcomed me into your family, you made me a Thompson. I protect what's mine. As the office slowly empties, I remain at my desk, surrounded by evidence of Nate's betrayal and my own careful preparation. On one screen, I watch him pacing in his motel room, probably trying to figure out how his perfect plan imploded so spectacularly. On another, I see Vanessa checking into a flight to her parents' home in Portland, her dreams of becoming Mrs. Thompson evaporating like morning mist. My phone buzzes one last time, Nate trying to salvage something from the wreckage of his life. Baby, please, we need to talk. I can explain everything. I smile, thinking of all the nights I lay awake listening to his lies about working late, while I quietly built the case that would bring him down. No need to explain, darling, I text back. The federal investigators have all the explanations they need. Then I turn off my phone, gather my things, and prepare to head home to the lake house that now belongs solely to me. Tomorrow will bring more revelations, more consequences, more dismantling of Nate's carefully constructed house of cards. But tonight, I'll sleep soundly in our king-sized bed, alone but victorious, while my husband learns what happens when you mistake quiet patience for weakness and underestimate the woman who held the real power all along. Tuesday morning brings the kind of headlines you can't buy with PR spin. Thompson Tech CEO suspended amid fraud allegations. Tech scandal rocks Seattle business community. Corporate theft scheme exposed. The fall of Nathan Thompson, I read. Them all from the comfort of my new office in Thompson Financial, sipping the rare Colombian coffee Nate always claimed was too nuanced for my palate. The irony of enjoying his precious executive perks while watching his world burn isn't lost on me. The tech investment community is in an uproar, Olivia announces, entering with a fresh stack of financial papers. 3 other startups have already requested audits of their own corporate accounts. Apparently, Nate's scheme has everyone questioning their own financial officers. His mother's on her way up, Monica adds, checking her phone. The receptionist just called. I nod, setting down my coffee cup. Eleanor Thompson has always been the family's moral compass, and I know this meeting won't be easy for her. Rebecca! Eleanor sweeps in, still elegant despite her obvious distress. The press. Have you seen the latest? They're calling it the tech takedown of the decade. I guide her to the sitting area, noting how her eyes linger on the empty spaces where Nate's awards once hung. The media will move on to the next scandal soon enough. What matters is protecting the company and its employees. The forensic accountants found something else, she says quietly, pulling out a folder. Something worse. I take the documents, though I already know what they'll show. Nate hadn't just been stealing from the company, he'd been systematically looting his family's personal accounts. Sophie's college fund, his parents' retirement investments, even the family foundation his grandfather established. We knew he was troubled, but this... Eleanor's voice breaks. His own family? Everything will be restored, I assure her, holding up the recovery plan I'd prepared weeks ago. Every account has been reconciled, every stolen dollar traced and returned. My phone buzzes with an update from the federal investigation team. They've found Nate's hidden storage unit in Bellevue. Inside, Boxes of falsified documents detail years of financial manipulation, all the evidence they need for criminal charges. "Mrs. Thompson," my assistant calls from the doorway. "Mr. Nathan is in the lobby demanding to be let up. He's not taking no for an answer. I pull up the security feed on my laptop. Nate, disheveled and desperate, is arguing with the security guards. His Hugo Boss suit, the one he wore to so many client meetings with Vanessa, is wrinkled from a night in the airport motel. "Should I call security?" the assistant asks. "No need," I reply, pressing a button on my phone. "The police are already on their way. Anonymous tip about a person of interest in a federal fraud investigation causing a disturbance." Eleanor flinches at my words but doesn't object. Even a mother's love has its limits. "The board is meeting in an hour," Monica reminds me, checking her calendar. "They'll want your statement about assuming emergency control of operations." I nod, gathering my materials. In the background, my screens show multiple scenes unfolding simultaneously. Nate being escorted from the building by police, Vanessa giving another tearful interview painting herself as another victim of his deception, federal agents boxing up evidence from his home office, business columnists speculating about the scandal's impact on Seattle's tech ecosystem. "Harold called," Eleanor informs me, referring to her husband, Nate's father. "He's ready to sign over their family shares to you as well. Says he can't think of anyone better to protect their investment." I accept the responsibility with a nod. The Thompson family's interests will be secure, a stark contrast to their son's current situation. "The media wants to know if you'll attend next month's tech awards," my assistant mentions. "You're being nominated for your work in financial oversight and corporate governance." "Confirm the attendance," I decide, but keep the focus on company. Stability, not personal drama. As the morning approaches, I review one final set of documents, the complete record of Nate's downfall. Corporate manipulation documented, personal account theft proven, federal charges filed, company reputation preserved, justice served. My phone shows one last notification for the morning. Nate's final attempt to access his old company accounts from the police station's public computer. Even now, he hasn't quite accepted his new reality. "Should we tell him about the foundation?" Monica asks, referring to the new Thompson Financial Technology Education Initiative I've established. It's rather ironic using recovered funds from his theft to educate young women about tech and finance. "Let him read about it in the Seattle Times," I reply, closing my laptop. I believe they deliver to county jail. Eleanor appears in my doorway, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "Rebecca, we just got Nathan's letter. He's finally apologizing, says he understands now what he lost." "Too late," I observe quietly, checking my watch. By exactly 4 years, 2 months and 17 days. We stand together at my office window, watching the rain fall over Seattle's skyline. Somewhere in a county holding cell, Nate sits awaiting arraignment, probably wondering how his perfect life unraveled so completely. Somewhere in Portland, Vanessa unpacks in her parents' guest room, her dreams of society life shattered like the trust she helped betray. And here I stand, in the office that once represented everything Nate thought he deserved, protecting the company he tried to destroy. My phone buzzes with an incoming email, another business publication requesting an interview about corporate governance. They're calling me the new face of financial oversight, the woman who modernized corporate accountability. I smile, thinking of all the nights Nate spent explaining basic business concepts to his simple wife, never realizing he was lecturing a financial expert about his own impending downfall. "The company lawyers want to know if you'll consider writing a book," Monica adds, "about protecting businesses from internal threats." "Perhaps," I muse, gathering my things for the board meeting. I certainly have enough material. As I prepare to leave, my security feed shows Nate's last possessions being removed from the lake house, his beloved wine collection, his designer, wardrobe, his carefully curated tech toys, all being liquidated to repay his debt to the company. "One last thing," Monica calls out. "The federal prosecutors want to know if you'll testify at his arraignment hearing next week." I consider this, remembering every lie, every betrayal, every moment he underestimated me. No need, I decide. The evidence speaks for itself. Stepping into my private elevator, I think about the day Nate first introduced me to his parents, how he showcased me like a prize, never bothering to look deeper than the surface, how he dismissed my interest in his business as cute. My phone holds his final message, sent through his court-appointed attorney this morning. "I finally understand what you were protecting, what I threw away. I'm sorry." Too late, Nathan. You never realized that the real power wasn't in the company itself, but in the trust you betrayed. And now you have the rest of your sentence to contemplate the true cost of underestimating the woman who held your future in her hands all along. 6 months after Nate's sentencing, I stand at the podium of the Seattle Tech Leadership Forum, addressing a room full of the city's most prominent entrepreneurs and venture capitalists. The irony isn't lost on me, speaking about corporate security to the same people who once dismissed me as nothing more than a trophy wife. "The greatest threat to your company," I tell them, my voice carrying clearly through the grand ballroom of the Four Seasons, the same hotel where Nate and Vanessa once conducted their strategy sessions, "isn't external hackers or market volatility. It's the complacency that comes from believing your position is untouchable." The audience hangs on every word. After all, the Thompson financial case has become required reading at top business schools across the country. Mrs. Thompson, one of the senior partners from a prestigious venture capital firm, approaches after my speech. "Your insights on corporate governance are revolutionary. Would you consider joining our advisory board?" I smile, remembering how Nate used to explain basic financial concepts to me at parties like this. "I'll have my office send over my credentials." Monica appears at my elbow with updates from the morning's developments. 3 more tech companies requesting our oversight protocols, 2 interview requests from financial publications, and 1 desperate letter from Nate, still trying to explain himself from federal prison. "The Thompson Tech Education Foundation launch is trending," she adds, showing me her tablet. "They're calling it a paradigm shift in tech leadership development." My phone buzzes with a message from Eleanor Thompson. The family's annual holiday gathering is approaching, and for the first time in generations, it will celebrate not just success, but integrity. The prosecutors sent over Nate's latest statement. Monica joins us, tablet in hand. "He's finally admitted to everything, even the schemes we hadn't uncovered yet." I take the tablet, scanning his confession. The depth of his betrayal still manages to surprise me. Hidden accounts in Panama, shell companies in Singapore, plans to drain the family foundation. His cellmate says he spends his days reading financial journals, Olivia mentions, joining our small group. Apparently, he's finally learning about proper corporate governance. Better late than never. A notification pops up on my phone. Vanessa has resurfaced, this time teaching mindful money management at her parents' yoga studio in Portland. Her Instagram bio now reads, "Surviving Toxic Wealth, My Journey to Authenticity." At least someone learned something. The board. "Meeting is in an hour," my assistant reminds me. "They're voting on the new corporate structure you proposed." I gather my materials, including the comprehensive reform package I've spent months developing. Thompson Financial won't just survive. This crisis, it will emerge stronger, setting new standards for tech company governance. "Rebecca," Harold Thompson's voice booms across the ballroom. He's fully recovered now, his natural vigor restored once the stress of Nate's betrayal was removed. "The Harvard Business School case study about your handling of the crisis just went live." I join him at a quiet corner table, accepting a glass of sparkling water. "How's Eleanor holding up?" Better, he sighs. The therapist says accepting Nate's true nature was the first step. Your protection of the company gave her the space to focus on healing. My phone shows another alert. Nate's former office has been completely transformed into the Thompson Center for Technology Ethics. The plaque outside reads, "Building the Future Through Integrity." The company lawyers finished processing the last of his restitution payments. Monica approaches with more updates. Every dollar he stole has been recovered and reinvested. Through the ballroom's windows, I can see the Seattle skyline, the same view Nate used to boast about controlling from his corner office. Now that same office serves as command central for protecting tech companies from people like him. The business media is calling it the Thompson Standard. Olivia shows me another article. Your protocols for corporate governance are being adopted by startups across the country. I think about the day Nate first showed me his company offices, how he patronizingly explained the concept of stock options while I mentally cataloged every weakness in their security system. Your next appointment is here, my assistant announces. The Milestone Ventures team wants to discuss implementing your oversight systems for their portfolio companies. As I prepare for the meeting, my security feed shows one last image of Nate's former life being dismantled, his prized art collection being auctioned to repay his debt to the company, the same collection he used to lecture me about, never realizing I'd double majored in finance and art history. Judge Williams. Called, Monica adds. She's recommending your case as required reading for corporate court judges. Says it's the most comprehensive financial protection strategy she's ever seen. My phone buzzes with a notification from the Federal Correctional Institution. Nate has requested permission to enroll in online business ethics courses. Trying to understand where I went wrong, his note reads. Should we tell him about the Foundation's new educational program? Olivia asks. The one teaching tech students how to detect and prevent internal fraud? Let him figure it out, I reply, straightening my Armani blazer. He always said he learned best through experience. Eleanor joins us, elegant as ever in her role as family matriarch. The Holiday Gathering Committee has a suggestion. They want to honor you as guardian of legacy. I shake my head, remembering all the family events where Nate paraded me around like an accessory. No honors. The secure company speaks for itself. Through my phone, I watch various scenes unfold across the city. Federal investigators, using my case to train new financial crime specialists. Business schools teaching the Thompson case as a masterclass in corporate protection. Tech columnists speculating about Nate's life behind bars. Startup founders studying my oversight protocols. One last thing, Olivia calls out as I head to my next meeting. Nate's old tech incubator is reopening their investment committee. Care to submit recommendations for his replacement? I smile, thinking of all the times he used that incubator to impress his mistress, flaunting the connections he was secretly exploiting. I have a better idea. Let's turn it into another foundation office. Something about women in tech leadership. The afternoon sun streams through the windows, catching the emerald on my right hand. Not my engagement ring from Nate, but my grandmother's ring, a symbol of true family legacy. On my desk, the latest company reports show growth that would have been impossible under Nate's leadership. Mrs. Thompson, my assistant interrupts gently. The Wall Street Journal is here for your interview about transforming corporate governance. I gather my thoughts, remembering every step of this journey. The quiet wife who watched and waited, the financial expert who documented every lie, the executive who protected a company from destruction, the woman who refused to be underestimated. My phone shows one final notification for the day. Nate's lawyer making a last desperate pitch for leniency. He's a changed man, the message pleads. He understands now what he lost. Too late, I think, heading to the interview. Some lessons come at a price no corporate insurance can cover. As I take my seat across from the journalist, I catch my reflection in the window. No longer the trophy wife Nate thought he married. but the guardian of legacy he never knew he needed. The reporter's first question makes me smile. "Mrs. Thompson, how does it feel to have revolutionized corporate protection?" "It feels," I reply, thinking of Nate in his cell finally learning the true meaning of fiduciary responsibility, exactly like justice. 1 year to the day after Nate's downfall, I stand in my office at Thompson Tower, watching the sun rise over Puget Sound. The view is different from up here, both literally and figuratively. The past year has transformed not just Thompson Financial, but the entire landscape of corporate governance in Seattle's tech industry. My phone lights up with the morning's first notification. Forbes magazine has just released their annual Power Players issue. The cover story, "The Woman Who Changed Corporate Governance Forever, Rebecca Thompson's Revolution." The Seattle Times piece just went live too, Monica announces, entering with her signature stack of updates. They're calling you the silent guardian of tech integrity. I scan the headline, amused by the irony. A year ago, these same publications barely noticed me. Just another pretty wife in Seattle's tech social circus. Now they're studying my methods in business schools. Nate's latest letter arrived, Monica adds quietly, placing a thin envelope on my desk. Unlike his early desperate pleas, this one is different. A simple handwritten confession of every mistake, every betrayal, every moment of hubris that led to his downfall. He's finally completed the business ethics program in prison, Olivia mentions, checking her tablet. Graduated top of his class, ironically enough. Says he finally understands what he was supposed to be protecting. Through my office windows, I can see the bustling tech district, the same streets where Nate once strutted like a prince, never realizing he was walking toward his own destruction. Now those same streets are home to a new era of corporate accountability, shaped by the lessons of his fall. The Thompson Foundation's annual report is ready for review, my assistant announces. The new tech ethics programs have reached over 5,000 students this year. I take the report, pleased to see the impact of our work. What Nate tried to destroy has become a beacon of integrity, helping other companies protect themselves from similar threats. Harold's on his way up, Monica informs me. The board approved your proposal for the new corporate structure unanimously. When my father-in-law enters, he carries himself with renewed strength. The past year has changed him too, from a man blindsided by his son's betrayal to a fierce advocate for corporate accountability. "Rebecca," he begins, emotion thick in his voice. "What you've built from this tragedy, it's beyond anything we could have imagined." My phone buzzes with updates that underscore his words. 3 more tech companies adopting the Thompson protocols, 2 international business conferences requesting keynote speeches, 1 prestigious corporate governance award nomination. "Vanessa sent another interview request," Olivia mentions. "She's writing a book about financial infidelity and wants your perspective." I decline with a simple email. Some stories don't need more telling. They need understanding. The quarterly reports are in, Monica adds, pulling up the latest figures. Growth is up 45% since you took control. Every dollar Nate stole has been recovered and multiplied. Through my security feeds, I can see multiple scenes playing out. Business school students studying the Thompson case, tech executives implementing my protection protocols, startup founders reviewing their security measures, future generations learning from Nate's mistakes. His parole hearing is next month, Olivia reminds me gently. They want to know if you'll submit a statement. I consider this, remembering every step of our journey. The quiet wife who watched and learned, the expert who documented every lie, the guardian who protected a legacy, the woman who refused to be underestimated. Send them this, I decide, pulling up the company's latest performance report. Let the numbers speak for themselves. Harold touches my arm gently. He asks about you, in his letters. Says he finally understands what he had. Not just the company, but the trust. Some lessons, I reply. watching a new class of tech entrepreneurs enter the Thompson Center for Technology Ethics below, come too late to change the past, but early enough to protect the future. My phone shows one final update. Nate's old office has been completely transformed into a state-of-the-art innovation center. The plaque outside reads, "Building Tomorrow's Legacy Today." Sophie's school tech program starts tomorrow, Olivia reminds me. Would you like to speak to them? I think about our daughter, the future of the Thompson name, the innocent victim of her father's greed, now the beneficiary of a stronger, more ethical legacy. Tell them the truth, I decide. About trust, betrayal, and the price of underestimating those we dismiss. As the sun sets on another day in Seattle's tech district, I stand at my office window, holding Nate's final letter. In it, he finally asks the question that took him a fortune and his freedom to understand. How did I not see who you really were? The answer, of course, was simple. He never looked past his own reflection. My phone shows one last notification, Thompson. Financial has just been named a gold standard in corporate governance. The legacy Nate tried to destroy has emerged stronger, wiser, and more secure than ever. Mrs. Thompson, my assistant calls out, they're ready for you in the boardroom. The new executive team is waiting. I gather my materials, preparing to teach tomorrow's leaders the lessons learned from yesterday's mistakes. Through the window, Seattle glitters like the company I protected. Beautiful, powerful, and worth every moment of patient waiting. As I head to the boardroom, I pass the wall of company founders. Nate's portrait has been replaced by something more meaningful. A simple plaque that reads, "True wealth lies not in what we possess, but in what we protect." Some must learn this lesson through loss. Others are chosen to teach it through strength. In the end, Nate got exactly what he deserved. Time to contemplate the true cost of underestimating a woman he thought he could control. And I got what I earned. A legacy protected, a company restored, and a future secured by the quiet power of patient justice. The story of Thompson Financial will be told for generations, not as a tragedy of betrayal, but as a testament to the strength that lies in being underestimated. And somewhere in a federal prison cell, Nate finally understands the most expensive lesson of his life. Sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one you should have feared the most. 2 years after taking control of Thompson Financial, I find myself in an unexpected position, testifying before a Senate committee on corporate fraud prevention. The same politicians who once posed for photos with Nate now lean forward, hanging on my every word about protecting businesses from internal threats. The most dangerous predator, I explained to the packed chamber, isn't the obvious criminal. It's the trusted insider who exploits that trust while hiding behind a carefully crafted image. Beside me, Monica and Olivia exchange knowing glances. We've come a long way from those first days of discovering Nate's betrayal. Mrs. Thompson, the committee chair addresses me. Your methodology for detecting and preventing executive fraud has been described as revolutionary. How did you develop such comprehensive protocols? I pause, considering the irony of the question. Through careful observation, Senator. Sometimes being underestimated gives you the perfect vantage point to see what others miss. After the hearing, we're surrounded by corporate security experts, tech company founders, and financial oversight specialists, all eager to implement what's now being called the Thompson method. They're treating you like a rock star, Olivia observes as we make our way through the crowd. A far cry from the decorative wife Nate used to introduce at events, I reply, remembering how he would gently steer conversations away from me whenever business topics arose. My phone buzzes with a notification from the foundation. Our newest initiative, teaching women to recognize and document financial abuse, has just received major funding from 3 of the country's largest tech companies. The ultimate irony, Monica murmurs, Nate's downfall becoming the catalyst for protecting thousands of others. Back at our hotel suite, we review the day's developments. Thomson Financial has just been named one of the most ethically run companies in America. The stock price has tripled since I took control, and our corporate security division, built from the ashes of Nate's fraud, has become the industry standard. His latest appeal was denied, Olivia mentions, checking her tablet. The judge cited the overwhelming and meticulously documented evidence as grounds for maintaining the full sentence. I nod, unsurprised. The case we built was unassailable, each piece of evidence carefully preserved and presented. Eleanor. Called? Monica adds. She's finally ready to visit him. I think of my mother-in-law, who struggled the most with Nate's betrayal. As his mother, she blamed herself, wondering where she went wrong in raising a son who could steal from his own family. That's good, I say softly. She needs closure. My phone shows a notification from Sophie's school. My daughter has just won first place in her business ethics competition. The irony doesn't escape me. The child Nate was stealing from now excelling in understanding the principles he violated. What about Vanessa's bankruptcy hearing tomorrow? Olivia asks. Are you really going to attend? I look at the leather portfolio on the desk, the one containing all the original evidence of Nate and Vanessa's scheme. The same documents that sent them both spiraling into financial and legal consequences. Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it for the world. The next morning dawns clear and bright. I dress with particular care, choosing a striking emerald suit that matches the tennis bracelet Vanessa once borrowed from me. The same bracelet now. Returned to my jewelry box after being seized as evidence. Are you sure about this? Monica questions as our car approaches the federal courthouse. You don't have to face her. I'm not facing her, I correct, checking my reflection. I'm witnessing justice. The bankruptcy courtroom is smaller than I expected. Vanessa sits at the front, her designer clothes replaced by a modest department store outfit, her confidence shattered. She hasn't seen me yet, sitting quietly in the back row. Her attorney looks overwhelmed, drowning in the financial evidence being presented. Evidence showing how she knowingly participated in Nate's fraud, how she spent stolen money, how she lied to investigators before finally turning on him to save herself. When her name is called, she approaches the bench with downcast eyes, a far cry from the woman who once flaunted my jewelry at family events, who posted about her generous benefactor while spending money stolen from my daughter's future. Ms. Caldwell, the judge addresses her sternly. Your petition for bankruptcy protection is complicated by your involvement in the Thomson financial fraud case. Vanessa nods miserably, clutching her purse, no longer Chanel, but a simple canvas tote. While you have cooperated with authorities, the judge continues, the fact remains that much of your debt was incurred through knowing participation in fraudulent activities. As the judge speaks, Vanessa's shoulders slump further with each word. This is the moment, the culmination of her choices, the consequences she never thought would come. That's when she turns, perhaps feeling my gaze, and our eyes meet across the courtroom. The recognition hits her like a physical blow. Her face drains of color as she sees me sitting there, calm and composed. The leather portfolio embossed with the Thomson Financial logo resting on my lap. I don't smile. I don't frown. I simply hold her gaze steadily, letting her see the woman she helped Nate underestimate, the woman whose financial expertise they mocked, the woman who methodically documented their downfall. Vanessa quickly turns away, but I can see the tremble in her shoulders, the realization that I've come not out of vengeance but to witness the natural conclusion of her actions. When the proceedings end, her bankruptcy severely limited by her fraud involvement, she hurries toward the exit, clearly hoping to avoid me, but we meet inevitably at the courthouse steps. Rebecca, she whispers, her voice barely audible. I never thought. That's the problem, Vanessa, I reply calmly. You never thought about anyone but yourself. She stares at the portfolio I'm carrying, no doubt remembering the evidence it once contained, evidence of every luxury purchase, every champagne toast, every stolen moment funded by money taken from my family. I've lost everything, she says, a plea for sympathy in her voice. No, I correct her gently. You lost what was never yours to begin with. As I descend the courthouse steps to where my driver waits, I hear her call after me. One last desperate attempt. I didn't know about the college fund, about your daughter. I swear I didn't know he was taking from her. I turn back, meeting her gaze one final time. It wouldn't have mattered if you did. The drive back to the airport is quiet, Monica and Olivia respecting my need for reflection. My phone lights up with updates from the office. Another successful quarter, another industry award, another business school requesting to teach the Thompson case study. Was it worth it? Monica finally asks as our plane takes off, Seattle falling away beneath us. Going to see her like that? I watch the city disappear into clouds, thinking of the journey that brought us here, from discovering Nate's betrayal to rebuilding something stronger from its ashes. It wasn't about seeing her brought low, I explain. It was about completing the circle. She wore my jewelry to show her power over me. I carried the evidence of her crimes to show the power of truth. 3 years to the day since Nate's arrest, I stand in the Thompson Financial Auditorium, addressing our annual shareholders meeting. The company has not just recovered, it has transformed, growing into something far greater than what Nate ever envisioned. Trust, I tell the packed room, is our most valuable asset. It cannot be listed on a balance sheet, but its absence can destroy everything we build. From my position, at the podium, I can see Eleanor and Harold sitting in the front row, pride evident in their faces. Behind them, Sophie watches attentively, absorbing lessons about integrity that will serve her throughout her life. After the meeting, as executives and investors mingle, I slip away to my office for a moment of quiet reflection. On my desk sits Nate's latest letter. His handwriting has changed over the years, becoming more measured, less flashy. I finally understand, he writes, that the company was never what I should have valued most. It was your trust, the trust I betrayed for something as meaningless as ego. Too late, I think, but perhaps not too late for others to learn from his mistakes. My phone shows an alert. The Thompson method for corporate fraud prevention has just been adopted by the Securities and Exchange Commission as recommended protocol for all publicly traded companies. What began as a personal strategy for documenting betrayal has become a blueprint for protecting businesses nationwide. Mrs. Thompson, my assistant calls through the intercom, your daughter is here to see you. Sophie enters, now 14, and showing the same quiet intelligence that I had at her age. The intelligence Nate never bothered to notice. Mom, she says, settling into the chair across from my desk. I've been thinking about college. You're only 14, I remind. Her with a smile. You have time. I know, but I've decided. Her eyes, so like her father's in color but so different in their thoughtfulness, meet mine. I want to study business ethics and corporate law. I study my daughter's face, seeing in it the future that Nate nearly stole, the potential he almost destroyed in his selfish pursuit of more. Because of Dad? I ask gently. She shakes her head. Because of you. Because you showed me that protecting what matters isn't about power. It's about patience. As Sophie leaves to join her grandparents, I turn to the window, looking out at the Seattle skyline. Somewhere in that vista is the budget motel where Nate first stayed after his world collapsed. The courthouse where Vanessa faced her bankruptcy. The restaurant where they once celebrated what they thought was their cleverness. And here, at the IA Center, stands Thompson Tower, renamed, rebuilt, and stronger than ever. My phone shows one final notification for the day. A national business magazine has just named me one of the most influential women in corporate America. The attached photo shows me standing in front of the Thomson logo, wearing the emerald bracelet that once adorned Vanessa's wrist at my family dinner, holding the leather portfolio that documented every step of Nate's downfall. The caption reads, "Rebecca Thompson, turning betrayal into blueprint." I smile, thinking of all the women who will read this story and recognize their own unacknowledged power, their own capacity for patient justice. In the end, that's the legacy that matters most. Not the company restored or the fortune protected, but the example set for those who have been underestimated, overlooked, and dismissed. Because sometimes the quietest person in the room isn't just the one you should fear the most. They're the one you should have valued from the beginning. 5 years after taking control of Thomson Financial, I find myself standing before a packed auditorium at Stanford Business School. The prestigious institution has invited me to deliver the keynote address for their Women in Leadership series, a far cry from the days when Nate insisted I stay in the background at company events. The most dangerous form of underestimation, I tell the assembled students, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the stage lights, is the kind that happens in plain sight. When someone looks directly at you but fails to see your capabilities, that's not their oversight. It's their opportunity you're being handed. The crowd leans forward, captivated. The Thomson case study has become standard curriculum in business, ethics programs across the country, and I can see several students clutching copies of my recently published book, The Invisible Executive: How Silence Became My Strategy. "Mrs. Thompson," the dean addresses me as the lecture concludes, "would you say that your experience has made you cynical about trust in business relationships?" I consider the question carefully, aware of the hundreds of eager minds absorbing my response. "Not cynical," I reply. "Strategic. Trust should be a calculated decision, not a default setting. I still believe in trust. I just believe in verification more." The laughter that ripples through the audience carries understanding, not bitterness. These future business leaders grasp the nuance that Nate never could. After the lecture, I'm surrounded by young women eager to share their own stories of being underestimated, overlooked, or dismissed in boardrooms and business meetings. I listen to each one, recognizing in their experiences echoes of my own journey. "Your methodology changed everything for me," one MBA candidate tells me, her eyes bright with determination. "I stopped trying to be louder than the men in the room and started being more observant instead." "Good," I nod. The loudest voice rarely belongs to the most observant person. My phone buzzes discreetly, a message from Sophie. My daughter, now 19 and in her sophomore year at Yale, studying business ethics and corporate law, just as she'd planned. "Crushed my presentation on your case study," her text reads. "Professor said it was the most insightful analysis he's ever heard. Helps to have insider knowledge." I smile, thinking of how far we've come from those dark days when her future hung in the balance, her college fund drained by her father's selfish schemes. Monica joins me as I exit the auditorium, tablet in hand as always. "The Thompson method. Certification program just hit 10,000 graduates," she informs me. "Corporate security firms can't hire them fast enough." What began as my personal strategy for documenting betrayal has evolved into a comprehensive methodology for protecting companies from internal threats, taught, certified, and implemented worldwide. "And the foundation?" I ask, referring to the Thomson Ethics Initiative we established with the recovered funds from Nate's fraud. Just awarded its 100th scholarship to women pursuing degrees in corporate governance and financial oversight. The symmetry feels right, using money once stolen to fund education that will prevent similar thefts in the future. My phone lights up with another notification. The federal prison where Nate served most of his sentence has invited me to speak to their white-collar crime rehabilitation program. The warden believes my perspective would be valuable to inmates preparing to re-enter society. "Are you going to accept?" Monica asks, studying my expression. I think I will, I decide. Some lessons are worth teaching directly to those who need them most. Later that evening, in my hotel suite overlooking San Francisco Bay, I review the latest quarterly reports from Thomson Financial. The company has expanded internationally, our corporate governance protocols now implemented in 12 countries. What Nate once saw as a vehicle for his personal enrichment has become a global standard-bearer for business ethics. A soft knock at the door interrupts my thoughts. Eleanor Thompson enters, elegant as always despite the years that have added silver to her hair and wisdom to her eyes. Your lecture was magnificent, Rebecca, she says, embracing me warmly. Harold would have been so proud. My father-in-law had passed away peacefully last year, having lived long enough to see the company restored and strengthened beyond his original vision. His final words to me had been simple. You saved more than just a business. Have you heard from him? Eleanor asks carefully, settling into an armchair. She doesn't need to specify who him is. Nate, released from prison 18 months ago after serving his sentence, has maintained a low profile, a necessary condition of his supervised release. Not directly, I reply. His parole officer provides updates as required by the restitution agreement. Eleanor nods, her expression a complex mixture of maternal love and earned wariness. He's teaching, you know, at a community college in Oregon, business ethics, of all things. The irony isn't lost on either of us. Is he any good? I ask, genuinely curious. According to his supervisor, he's exceptional. Nothing teaches the importance of ethical boundaries quite like having crashed through them at full speed. We share a moment of reflective silence, both contemplating the strange journey that brought us here, from family betrayal to professional renaissance. Sophie mentioned he's reached out to her, I say finally. Sent a letter to her dorm. Eleanor's eyes meet mine, concern evident. Are you comfortable with that? She's an adult now. The choice to respond is hers. I've never spoken ill of him to her. The facts did that adequately on their own. My phone buzzes with an alert from my security team. Vanessa Caldwell has just published a memoir titled Collateral Damage: My Life as the Other Woman in America's Biggest Corporate Scandal. I dismiss the notification with a swipe. Her perspective holds no interest for me. Her 15 minutes of notoriety are long since past. Will you ever forgive him? Eleanor asks quietly, the question she's waited years to voice. I consider this carefully, respecting her need for an honest answer. Forgiveness isn't relevant to justice, I reply finally. I don't need to forgive him to acknowledge that he's served his sentence. I don't need to trust him to hope he's learned something valuable. Eleanor nods, understanding the distinction. And Vanessa? She was never important enough to forgive, I say simply. She was merely a symptom of the real problem. The following morning, as my car drives along the California coastline toward my next speaking engagement, I reflect on how completely life has transformed since those first days of discovering Nate's betrayal. Back then, I was fighting to save my daughter's future and reclaim what was stolen from us. Now, I lead a movement that has changed how businesses approach internal security and executive oversight. My phone rings, a Seattle number I don't recognize. Curious, I answer. Mrs. Thompson, this is Dr. Reynolds from Seattle University. We're launching a new Center for Corporate Ethics and Governance, and we'd like to discuss naming it after you. 5 years ago, I was the invisible wife at Nate's side during university events. Now, academic institutions seek to immortalize my name in their buildings. I'm interested, I reply, particularly in the scholarship component. Send the proposal to my foundation director. After ending the call, I open my email to find a message from an unexpected source. Daniel Wilson, Nate's former business partner, who retired from Thomson Financial 3 years ago to focus on venture philanthropy. Rebecca, his message begins, I thought you should know. Nathan approached me about funding for a startup he's developing, software designed to detect patterns of internal financial fraud before major damage occurs. The irony isn't lost on him. He's calling it trusted oversight. I wanted your perspective before responding. I stare at the message, appreciating Daniel's consideration in consulting me first. The symmetry is striking. Nate seeking to commercialize protection against the very crime he committed. What are your thoughts? I type back, curious about Daniel's assessment. His response comes quickly. The technology is sound. His experience gives him unique insight. But I wouldn't move forward without your green light. I gaze out the window at the Pacific Ocean, its vast expanse reminding me of how far we've all traveled from those days of betrayal and discovery. Would approving this venture be a form of redemption for Nate? Perhaps. Would it benefit companies vulnerable to the same predatory behavior he once exhibited? Almost certainly. Proceed with caution, I reply finally, but require ethical oversight. Built into the corporate structure. And one more condition. Sophie gets final approval if she's interested. This could be her practical education in rehabilitative justice. As the car continues down the coastline, I reflect on the unexpected turns life takes. The man who once stole from his daughter's future might now help secure it in a different way, through knowledge gained at tremendous cost. My phone buzzes with another notification. Thomson Financial stock has hit an all-time high following the announcement of our expansion into Asia. The company Nate nearly destroyed now employs over 5,000 people worldwide. Its value increased tenfold under my leadership. Mrs. Thompson, my driver calls back. We're approaching Silicon Valley. Several tech executives have requested meetings while you're in town. I check my calendar, noting the familiar names. CEOs who once dismissed me as Nate's decorative wife, now eagerly seeking my guidance on corporate security protocols. Confirm the meetings, I decide, and add Daniel Wilson to the dinner reservation. We have interesting developments to discuss. That evening, as the California sun sets over the Pacific, I stand on the balcony of my hotel suite, contemplating the strange justice of life's circuitous path. My phone displays a new message from Sophie. Mom, I just got the strangest email from Dad. He wants my input on a fraud detection startup. Is this for real? Yes, I reply. What do you think? Her response comes quickly. I think I'll need to see the business plan, ethical framework, and proposed governance structure before making any decisions. I smile with fierce pride. My daughter, once the potential victim of financial exploitation, now positions herself as its informed evaluator. Nate's greatest lesson to her wasn't what he intended. It was what she observed in the aftermath. The next morning brings news I never expected. A formal letter from Nate, delivered to my hotel by courier. Rebecca, it begins, his handwriting more measured than I remember. I won't ask for forgiveness. We both know it's not mine to request. Instead, I'm writing to acknowledge a debt that can never be fully repaid. I scan the pages, noting the absence of excuses or self-pity. Instead, there's a detailed proposal, transferring his shares in the new venture to Sophie's name, establishing her as the ethical compliance officer with veto power over all major decisions. What I took from her can never be restored, he writes. But perhaps what I learned can provide her with a different kind of inheritance, one built on painful truth rather than comfortable deception. The letter concludes without a signature or closing pleasantries. Instead, there's a simple acknowledgement. You saw everything when I thought you saw nothing. That was my most expensive mistake. I placed the letter in my briefcase, neither accepting nor rejecting its premise. Time will reveal whether Nate's transformation is genuine or merely another performance. My next speaking engagement takes me to New York, where the Thompson method is being adopted by Wall Street firms still recovering from their own internal scandals. The irony doesn't escape me. The protocols I developed to catch one dishonest Man now protecting trillion-dollar institutions. Mrs. Thompson, a senior partner at a prestigious financial firm, greets me. Your insights on detecting internal fraud have revolutionized our compliance procedures. How did you develop such an intuitive understanding of deceptive patterns? By being the person no one thought was paying attention, I reply simply. The statement resonates through the room, several executives shifting uncomfortably in their seats. I wonder how many of them have underestimated the quiet observers in their own offices, the assistants, the spouses, the colleagues they dismiss as non-threats. After the presentation, I receive an unexpected visitor, Judge Williams, now retired from the bench that once heard the case against Nate. I followed your career with great interest, she tells me over coffee. Few victims transform their experience into systematic change the way you have. I was never comfortable with the term victim. I correct her gently. Strategic observer, perhaps. She smiles, acknowledging the distinction. Your case changed how I evaluated evidence in corporate fraud trials. The Thompson method of documentation should be taught in law schools. As we part ways, my phone buzzes with a message from Eleanor. Vanessa contacted me. She's requesting a meeting. Should I decline? I consider this unexpected development. What could Vanessa possibly want after all these years? Her bankruptcy proceeding concluded long ago. Her brief notoriety faded as newer scandals captured public attention. Your decision, I text back. But I'd recommend hearing what she has to say. Knowledge rarely disadvantages you. Later that evening, as I prepare for my return to Seattle, my phone lights up with a call from Monica. The Thompson Foundation just received a substantial anonymous donation, she informs me, her voice tinged with surprise. $10 million, earmarked specifically for the Women in Finance Scholarship Program. Anonymous? I question, immediately, suspicious. The bank traces back to Oregon, she adds meaningfully. Nate. It can only be Nate, using proceeds from some investment or insurance policy we hadn't uncovered during the investigation. Accept it, I decide after consideration, but establish an independent ethical review committee to oversee its distribution. No strings attached means exactly that. As my plane touches down in Seattle, I gaze out at the familiar skyline, now dominated by the Thompson Tower, its illuminated spire a beacon in the night sky. My driver meets me at the terminal, handing me the evening's financial news summary. Thompson Financial has just acquired a boutique security firm specializing in executive fraud detection, a strategic expansion of our core competencies. There's one more item, he mentions as we pull away from the airport. Ms. Caldwell is waiting at your office. She insisted on seeing you tonight. Vanessa, here in Seattle, at Thompson Tower. The audacity is almost admirable. Did security check her? Thoroughly, I ask, my voice calm despite the unexpected development. Complete scan. She's clean, just nervous. I consider my options. I could refuse to see her, have security escort her out, maintain the distance I've kept all these years. But curiosity wins out. What could possibly bring Vanessa back into my orbit after so long? Tell security, I'll be there in 30 minutes. When I arrive at Thompson Tower, the lobby is quiet, the late hour meaning only security and cleaning staff remain. I take the private elevator to the executive floor, where Monica waits to brief me. She's been waiting for 3 hours, Monica informs me. Wouldn't leave, wouldn't say what this is about, just kept insisting it was important. I nod, straightening my jacket before entering the conference room where Vanessa waits. The years haven't been particularly kind to her. The yoga instructor's flexibility remains, but stress has etched permanent lines around her eyes and mouth. She stands as I enter, her posture radiating nervous energy. Rebecca, she begins, her voice smaller than I remember. Thank you for seeing me. I take a seat across from her, maintaining professional distance. What brings you to Seattle, Vanessa? She reaches into her bag, a simple leather tote, not the designer handbags Nate once purchased for her, and removes a manila me envelope. I found these when I was cleaning out my parents' storage unit, she explains, sliding the envelope across the table. They were hidden in an old box of financial records. I think you should have them. Cautiously, I open the envelope and remove its contents, photographs I've never seen before. Nate and Vanessa at various locations, timestamps from the period just before I discovered their affair. But these aren't romantic selfies or vacation mementos. They're surveillance photos. Nate meeting with men I recognize as competitors and potential hostile takeover specialists. In several images, documents are being exchanged, handshakes confirmed. He was selling company secrets, Vanessa says quietly. Not just stealing money, but actively working to undermine Thompson Financial. For a planned acquisition, he promised me I'd be his executive assistant once the new owners took control. I study the photographs carefully, the puzzle pieces clicking into place. The unexplained meetings, the missing competitive intelligence files, the strategic shifts our rivals made just before I discovered the financial fraud. Why show me these now? I ask, my voice steady despite the revelation. Vanessa looks down at her hands, no longer manicured to perfection. My therapist says I can't move forward until I make amends where possible. I can't undo what I did, but I can at least give you the full truth. I consider her words, weighing their sincerity against years of deception. The statute of limitations on corporate espionage hasn't expired, I note carefully. Fear flashes across her face. Are you going to— That depends, I interrupt, on what you do next. These photos alone aren't conclusive evidence. Who took them? A private investigator, she admits. Nate wasn't just betraying you, he was betraying me too. I hired someone to follow him when I suspected he had another woman. Instead, they documented his corporate sabotage. The irony is almost poetic, the mistress having her lover followed, only to discover his true infidelity was to his company. Here's what happens now, I tell her, my decision made. You'll provide a complete sworn statement to our corporate security team. Names, dates, everything you remember about these meetings. In exchange, Thompson Financial won't pursue charges against you as an accessory. Relief washes over her face. Thank you. I don't deserve— This isn't about what you deserve, I cut in. It's about completing the historical record. The truth matters more than punishment at this point. As Vanessa leaves, escorted by security to provide her statement, I return to my office and gaze out at the Seattle skyline. The city sleeps, unaware of the new chapter just opened in a story many thought concluded years ago. My phone buzzes, with a message from Sophie. Dad's business proposal actually looks solid. The ethical framework is robust, almost like he's trying to build what would have stopped him. Should I proceed? I look down at the surveillance photos spread across my desk, evidence of a betrayal deeper than even I had uncovered. Yes, I reply after careful consideration. But maintain controlling interest and full oversight. Some lessons need to be applied forward, not just learned. As dawn breaks over Seattle, I make another decision, one that will close the final chapter of this long saga. I draft an email to Daniel Wilson, attaching scanned copies of Vanessa's photographs. The Thompson method wasn't comprehensive enough. I write, we missed an entire dimension of the betrayal. Let's develop version 2.0, one that catches not just financial fraud, but corporate espionage conducted by trusted insiders. His response comes within minutes, despite the early hour. I'll convene the development team today. Should we bring Nathan into this aspect given his expertise in both sides of this equation? I consider the complex calculus of justice, redemption, and practical necessity. Yes, I decide, but under Sophie's direct supervision, let's see if his reformation extends to confronting the full scope of his betrayal. 5 years ago, I was fighting to reclaim what was stolen from my family. Today, I'm transforming that experience into protection for countless others. My phone lights up with the day's first news alert. The business world's most prestigious ethics award has just been announced. The recipient, the Thompson Method for Corporate Governance. The citation reads, "For transforming personal betrayal into systematic protection, establishing new standards for trust verification in corporate America." I smile, remembering the day Nate first dismissed my interest in his company finances as cute but unnecessary. How different our lives might have been had he simply looked closer, valued more, assumed less. As I prepare to face another day, leading the company he nearly destroyed, I realize the most powerful lesson of all. Sometimes being underestimated is the greatest advantage one can possess. The person no one sees coming is often the one who sees everything. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.